This year has been a very big year for us with changes. Getting into 21, I realized that I was the bottleneck and I just couldn't keep doing what I was doing and expect any difference. Me and my wife had been talking for a while that we needed to entertain a business coach. We started doing some research and found a business coach, Jim Wirtz.
He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's been great for us. I then also met a lot of great people that are all striving to be better and do better, and those guys introduced me to SynkedUP. It was, hey, we need some type of system. You know, we're still over here pencil and paper, and it's taken hours to create these bids. You present this and the client wants to change one thing, and guess what? You're back to hours recreating this bid. So we started looking at different options like that. And we had tried some other softwares, but man, they were really hard to understand and get going, and you had to invest just a lot more hours than I had to learn the system. SynkedUP, when we took that on, it was really quick. You know, it was picked up on it really fast.
Hey, welcome back. I'm Weston, founder of SynkedUP and host of the Cost of Doing Business podcast show here. And we are coming at you live from the Deck Expo here in Las Vegas. Another opportunity to sit down here with John from Georgia.
What's up?
Good
Glad
to see you
here,
again.
Man.
Yeah. We had the pleasure of hanging out together last night, getting some dinner, and walking the streets of Vegas, which was a first-time experience for me.
Good burgers, water show.
Amazing burgers, and that water show was cool. Cool in both ways. It was cold outside. You know.
That's right.
Introduce yourself. Who's John Sheppard, Southern Cross? Give us a bio of you and your company.
Yeah, sure. John Sheppard, Southern Cross Outdoors and Company. We have a couple different things we do there. Based out of Georgia, just south of Atlanta. And we focus on outdoor living, home renovations, and just turning your space into a spot you can really enjoy.
Fantastic. So how long ago did you start your company?
It'll be 8 years in April.
Okay.
So coming up on 8 years.
And how many guys you have now?
We have seven or eight guys.
Okay.
Yep.
And what's your revenue at? Like just in a range.
Yeah, right now we should do close to 1.5 this year.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so 8 years, 70 guys. Yeah. That's healthy. I kind of like and I'm going off the cuff here. This is literally I like to kind of see like a 200K per guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a healthy. If you're doing that in design build, you know, you're in a good healthy benchmark. Yeah. You know, I've seen people that do more, like Andy Mortar. Oh my goodness. Like,
yeah, we're definitely trying to build on that.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Getting better every year.
But if I, you know, in a demo or whatever, I talk to a design build company where they're doing 100 grand per guy.
Yeah.
They're not making money.
Yeah, it really needs to be higher than that.
Exactly. Sure. So, well, cool. So, what's the coolest thing you've seen at the show so far?
Man, a lot of good stuff. Really, I'm trying to think of one particular thing. You know, we were excited. We came out here to start getting into the pool industry and learn more about that. And you know, as much outdoor living work as we do with decks and whatnot, just learning some of the new vendors and different things that are coming out to help with the construction side.
Yeah. And you brought your foreman, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
My project manager Blake's here with us.
Project manager Blake. Yeah. Okay. Crew's still working while you're at home?
They are.
Yeah?
Yep. We have Michelle, who's in our office. She handles all the incoming leads, and then you know, all the office work. She's amazing. And then that goes to Daniel, our salesman.
Yeah.
And so he handles all the sales side of things, and then it gets passed off to production. And
it sounds like you've got some systems and processes in place.
It's you know, we're constantly learning and changing and trying to do the best. But they're coming along and doing well.
Well, systems and processes are the hardest thing there is to work. I mean, well, I shouldn't say it that way. Put it this way: systems and processes are very hard work.
Yep.
You know, and if you don't implement them, and all the information and how things get done stays in your head as the owner, like you are the ceiling, you are the bottleneck.
Yep.
The company will never grow beyond what you can. How many phone calls you can answer and things you can do in a day.
That's right.
You know.
And I realized that in late 2020. We were doing the biggest year we'd ever done, and I was running ragged because I couldn't keep up with all of it.
Yeah.
And so that was the exact term I used to my wife. I said, I realize I'm the bottleneck for my company, and we'll never grow beyond me until we implement some changes.
Yeah.
And that's when we started seeking out, you know, different ways to implement that.
Sure. Yeah. In the work you do, like, what's your favorite kind of bread and butter type project or work that you do?
Man, the outdoor living space. Yeah,
Sure.
we like to get people outside and enjoy that space as much as we like to be outdoors. Whether that's just playing in the yard with the kids or hunting and fishing, and just we want other people to enjoy that as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's when I was working at Tussey, and when I was doing the marketing and did some of the videos there, a tagline or whatever I'd come up with was like creating quality space or creating spaces for quality family time.
Yeah.
You know, making those memories, doing those s'mores out, out there with the kids, and like it's crazy. Like sometimes at Tussey there, you wonder like, dude, how are they putting a $500,000 project into a place that's worth $500,000, right?
Sure.
So, but I think what it comes down to is these grandparents, for the customer I'm thinking of right now, they were grandparents and they wanted a place where their grandkids wanted to come to, and they wanted those memories. And like to them, it wasn't about the money; it was about they were buying that quality time.
Yep.
It wasn't about like, oh, this is more money than this. I'll never get back out of this place. Like that wasn't their thing. And so yeah, I like.
Absolutely.
You're not selling pavers and plants. You're selling a place for families to connect.
Well, and that's one thing we've adopted as a company is people over paychecks.
Sure.
We are investing in people and in families. It's just money. We can't take it with us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I agree. So let's get into it. Tell me of what's one of the toughest challenges you've faced in your life or as a business and in your journey in business?
I mean, people's probably got to be the hardest part of that.
Like building people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finding the right people and then getting the right people to stay, and then building company culture where people do want to grow and stay with the company. And in our industry, as many service industries, it's hard to find qualified people or people that want to do this type of work. You got to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
I'd say definitely the hardest part.
And I think, a comment we made when the podcast I just did with Nikita from OI Design Build was like the idea that people view this as a dead end, or it's a stepping stone job,
Yep.
right? And the work that we have to do as an industry to change that stereotype to like, no, you can build a solid career here.
Right.
I think it's inspiring to see business owners like yourself like leaning in and trying to create that vibe and that company culture that, dude, you can make a successful, raise a family by working a job, at a company like this, which is something that it feels like swimming against the current or swimming upstream,
And I think that's kind of where we're at, is trying to build that company culture that people do want to stay, and they do see that they can make this a career versus just a stepping stone, as you mentioned.
Yeah. So you were about a month, 6 weeks ago-ish, you were at the Contractor Summit there at Tussey Landscaping in Pennsylvania, which I kind of have my theory as to why people, like, I barely put like 2 Instagram stories out about that event, and like 80 people showed up, right? And like I have my theories as to why people like to come see Tussey, but like before I kind of assert my opinion or my theory, like what drew you to that event? What did you come for?
I came for SynkedUP.
Okay.
Yeah, we were somewhat new to the software. We had it for several months.
Yeah.
But knowing that I could come and meet some of the guys that I'd been talking to, and then learn more about the software itself, and then also the bonus was I get to see a successful, productive landscape company and see how their operations work. That was just a plus for me.
Sure. And what'd you take away from that?
Man, y'all got great company culture. The guys are staying, 15 and 20 years, and they still love what they do. And they may still be in a field position, but they love the work that they do. So they don't see it as, man, I'm still stuck here in the field. We love what we do. We're creating these gardens and these places that people love to hang out. So that company culture that y'all have created is just fantastic.
Yeah, and it's credit to Steve and Matt. Like, to your point about being a bottleneck, like Steve has done a really good job with realizing that and letting go way beyond his comfort zone and letting people, sink or swim. And been fortunate enough to have some people that took that rope and climbed.
Right.
And that's hard. It's kind of this magic combination of people that want to succeed and grow, invest in their own growth and development, and also that has to line up with the opportunity with an owner that lets that happen, right? So it's a kind of a rare thing in a way, and that was back to what my theory was. Is like last year when we did a similar event, it was just like, man, people wanted to talk more about like how are you keeping these guys? What's your, I want to talk to your guys.
Yeah.
You know, so I think Tasi's really built kind of this culture that's really an example and really attractive for a lot of people. Like with you coming up and hanging out. So, well, let's go to something more pragmatic. So you came on to SynkedUP early this year, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and talk to me about like what was going on in your mind. Like why did you even look us up? Why did you book a call? Why did you what was going on?
So this year has been a very big year for us with changes. You know, like I was saying, at the end of 2020, getting into 21, I realized that I was the bottleneck, and I just couldn't keep doing what I was doing and expect any difference. That's the definition of insanity. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we realized that me and my wife had been talking for a while that we needed to entertain a business coach. So we started doing some research and found a business coach, Jim Wirtz. He's
a great dude.
Yeah, he's been great for us. And so by joining his program, I then also met a lot of great people that are all striving to be better and do better, and those guys introduced me to SynkedUP. So all that to say, getting into the changes of the business and wanting to grow, it was, hey, we need some type of system. You know, we're still over here pencil and paper, and it's taken hours to create these bids. And if you present this and the client wants to change one thing, then guess what? You're back to hours recreating this bid. So we started looking at different options like that. And we had tried some other softwares, but man, they were really hard to understand and get going. And I mean, you had to invest just a lot more hours than I had to learn the system. And so SynkedUP, when we took that on, it was really quick. You know, it was picked up on it really fast, and so that was helpful.
Well, good. That's, for me as one of the founders, I would say that's one of the highest compliments I can get, because like when you pick a software, the success of it is going to thrive or die in the onboarding experience, in the implementation. And it's a combination of us as a company providing the resources, the teaching, the training to help you, but then it's also the leadership from you as the owner of the company saying, hey guys, we're doing this.
Right.
You know, and not whimpering like a puppy with your tail tucked between your legs when the guys are like, I'm not clocking in on that thing. It's like,
yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, there's a percentage of people that come on and get all excited, whip out their credit card, sign up, yep, we're going to do this, but then fall short on leading with vision that convinces their guys, yeah, let's do this.
Yep.
And it's frustrating for me and my team to try to lead a horse to water and they refuse to drink.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of what you've done with like, hey, we're doing this and showing up and to hear you say that it was easy, that's why I'm bringing this full circle. That gives me the warm fuzzies.
I mean, not that there's not a learning curve.
Oh, absolutely.
But just a little bit of time invested, and then the repeatable process.
Yeah.
It becomes easy very quickly.
Yeah. And to the thing we were saying earlier about systems and processes, building systems and processes is really hard work. It especially if you're doing it from scratch.
Yep.
Like you're reinventing the wheel, so to speak. And where software can give you a real big leg up is it's kind of like pulling pre-built systems and processes out of a box and just implementing it in your company.
Yep.
And then there's a little bit of a molding process where you're adapting to how the software works and all that. It's kind of a give and take in that regard, but it really can give you a serious leg up and avoid a lot of like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, now finally this works. When you utilize something that was built by other people in the industry that have been there and done that, and hey, just saying, don't do it that way, do it this way, and you benefit from that so much quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of circling back to one of the questions you asked earlier. That is one thing that stood out to me before is, why are you trying to recreate the wheel? There's so many successful people out there that have already done it, and they're giving you a roadmap of how to do it and cut your time in half from trying to recreate all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, spend a little bit of money up front and get those processes and implement them, and then you're gonna, I wish I would have known that, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Right off the cusp. Yeah, let's invest in this, and it would have cut my time in half, if not even more than that.
Dude, to your point, back to the Tasi landscaping thing, like they're a 30-plus-year-old company. They're as old as I am.
Yeah.
Literally. And on the flip side, the guy that I was just at a podcast with about an hour ago, Nikita from OI Design Build, I had no idea. I just knew him from Instagram. I knew he signed up, and I knew him from that, I had no idea. He literally started his company in 2020.
Oh, wow.
And he's already like, doing pools for on outdoor living, and like he's all about like, you know, installing the systems and processes. I was like, wow, that's impressive. Like, it's that's not the norm for company startups to realize the, hey, I don't have to make this hard. Like, let's figure someone. Now, Greg Whitstock from Aquascape says, if you want to be successful, go find someone that does what you want to do successfully and do what they did.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And so it's definitely nice when the industry is, you know, which is cool with Instagram too. I kind of see this more and more of a thing where people are more willing to share, and your competitors aren't your enemy; they're more like your friends. And like, I like that vibe a lot.
It's building an entire industry culture.
Exactly, and that's what it's going to take for us to convince people that this is a viable place to create a career.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be. It can't be cutthroat. Like, nobody wins.
Right.
You know, what's the best advice you've been given?
I remember, you know, we started out doing some lawn maintenance. You know, that was kind of my background.
Sure.
Well, I did a lot of design build, but we always, you know, everybody knows how to cut grass. So I'm like, and we decided to start our business. I'm like, man, I can get some lawn maintenance accounts so we can go from there. And I had a guy tell me one time, you know, if you cut dirt and rocks, you're going to attract customers who want you to cut dirt and rocks. So we kind of took that and then transitioned it over to where we're at now. What do we want to do as a company? Do I just want to do small, you know, plant installs here and there for, you know, $500, or do I want to do, you know, $multi-$100,000 projects? That's what I want to do. I want to transform landscapes. So we have really focused on that, on what we want to do and where we want to go as a company. Great
advice. Like, you get what you sow, or like if you do a little planting and mulch job and you put that all over Instagram, guess what? You're gonna get more like that, you know? But like, I know some people like, yeah, we still do some of those smaller jobs, but I don't show them at all. Like, you know, what I just show like crazy my cool 2 or 3 jobs I did this year, you know?
And I wouldn't discourage anybody from doing that. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Get your feet under you and get going. But then, as soon as you do land those jobs that you really want, then focus on those, push those, and try to find more customers like that.
Yeah. So, are you a reader? Do you read books?
I do. Mm-hmm.
What's a good book that you've read?
Man, I've read a lot of real estate books, which have really helped me really on the business side.
Interesting.
I'm reading through, what is it right now? Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. And that, honestly, that's been a great personal transition in my life to stop blaming others and focus on me, or not focus on me, but focus on what I can control and move forward and be better.
Like, if your foreman screwed up, okay, why did he screw up? Did I tell him?
Right.
You know?
Did I give him the proper training?
Exactly.
I've had that same thing even with hiring people. You know, after people leave, you know, things show up, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, what red flags could I have seen before hiring that person to not end up in this position?
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good point. Is if you want a good culture, good team, good you know, career building people, well, that starts with the hiring.
Yeah.
You know, so you're not going to get that if you hire, you know, people that can't show up to work on time and that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I love that Jocko Willink book. That was probably the top 3 books I've ever, like, of all the books I've read, like, that's in the top 3 of it had a real impact on like the way I think and the way I just process problems and stuff. So
I know even you know, Robert Kiyosaki with Rich Dad Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant, those are more real estate related, but it also helped my business mind kind of change and transform and understand the different sectors of business itself. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what would you say to a contractor that's kind of getting into it? Maybe they're mowing lawns right now. They want to get into the design build. Maybe they're not. They want to know. They keep saying, you're hearing that, hey, know your numbers, but they're not sure how to do it. Yeah. What would you say to people in that kind of phase of their journey in business?
Man, I know. For me, a pride thing, thinking that I know how to do this and I can go do it. But there's so much education out there, even at events like this, that you can learn, or you know, through other manufacturers. You know, Tech-O-Block, like we were just talking about, they have these showcases where you can go and learn the stuff.
Yeah.
And be the best you can at it, and then go start implementing it.
Amen.
You know, we see too much, especially on some of these Facebook hardscape groups, where they're you know, people are ripping others apart because of the work quality that they did, but some of these guys have never done it before until a paying customer does it. Go get the education.
Exactly. And what I would add on to what you just, I agree 100%. And the other thing I would add on to that is like, just know that when you go, yes, the content and the teaching and education is all helpful, but what is just as helpful or meaningful, if not more, is the networking.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
get out of your shell, shake hands with people. You know, and the cool thing with Instagram is you're probably going to meet people that you follow on Instagram and stuff like that. So get out there, go to lunch together, whatever. Like it's. I know for me, like going to these industry events like this, like my favorite thing is networking. You know, yeah, content's great. Like, but making those connections and realizing that, oh, I'm not the only one with troubles or challenges to solve. And then talking through those, you know, real life scenarios is super, super beneficial to help kind of expedite your own growth and success.
Well, networking's been huge for me, and it really didn't start till this year. When I started making all these changes, I realized that's something I need to do as well.
Yeah.
You know, so this year's just been a big transition for me, you know, personally as well. So.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mindset thing, you know. It's
absolutely.
like spending money to go do a trip across the country. Like, why would I need to do that? Like, I'm fine, right?
Yeah, but the stuff you learn and the people you meet, you have no idea what that's going to do for you later on.
So you got a coach. You got Jim Wirtz, great guy. He lives like half an hour from my house.
Yeah.
I kind of have this thing that I've said before, like knowledge is worthless unless you implement it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this in my own life. When I get a coach or a mentor or whatever, like you show up, you consume the content or the teaching, you go to the event, like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get like a pill to fix me, right? I'm gonna learn the trick to fix me. And a month later you're like, it's the same, and it's because I didn't do the work.
Yep.
You know, so knowledge is useless unless you actually do something with it.
Got to implement it.
Got to implement it. I'd rather take 10% of the quality, 10% of the knowledge and implement all of it than 100% huge chunk of knowledge and implement none of it.
Right.
You know, so what would you say to, again, other contractors out there in terms of like, you know, do you recommend a coach, or like what would you encourage someone else to think about when trying to decide whether you should get a coach or not, or how to even show up when you do get a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sooner the better. If you don't have one or you haven't had one, you need to find someone. So it goes back to what we were just talking about earlier. That person's most likely already done it. They've been through that.
Yeah.
So they, you know, why sit here and try and reinvent it or beat yourself up and try to figure it out your own? Go to that person, and then they can teach you ways to get there faster.
Yeah. And you don't have to do it wrong five times before you get it right the sixth time.
Absolutely.
You know, exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you know, I know, like I said, for me, it was a pride thing. I thought I knew how to do it all for a while, and that's not the case. And when I dropped that, that's when things started changing.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. Yeah. Well, where can people find you to kind of follow along on your journey and get to know you a little better, see the work you're doing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we update Facebook probably more often than Instagram.
Okay.
We do more Instagram stories, I would say, but on Instagram at Southern Cross Company, and then it's the same thing on Facebook, Southern Cross Company.
Sure. Okay. Well, thanks for taking the time to sit down here and do this session.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. It was a good time, and it feels good to see SynkedUP users roaming the halls and making these face-to-face connections, grabbing a bite to eat together. So yeah, it's good times, and I'm sure one of us is going to see you down there in Georgia, so we'll be at the Techo showcases. And if you're thinking about going, like John said, go. Find the closest one.
Absolutely.
And just go. One of us SynkedUP guys is going to be there at every one of those shows this year, so we'll see you there. I'd love to meet you and shake your hand. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.